1. No cameras in aisle 17. My name is Rachel. I worked at a 24-hour Walmart in southern Kentucky during the summer before my senior year. I was 19, broke, and desperate for money, so I took the overnight stock shift. 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Every night. Alone. The worst part wasn't the hours or the pay. It was aisle 17. Aisle 17 was just cleaning supplies, bleach, mops, paper towels. But the camera above that aisle? Always broken. Every time someone reported it, the same excuse, corporate's aware. It's on the list. On my third week, I was stocking air fresheners around 3 a.m. Music was playing on the store's speakers, some soft pop song, barely audible. That's when I heard it. Footsteps. Not the squeaky wheel of another cart. Not one of the 3 other workers who I knew were way up near the garden section. This was someone walking. Slowly. No shopping cart. No voice. No items. I turned around. Nobody. I kept working, brushing it off, until I saw the top of someone's head peek out from the next aisle. Like they were watching. I said, "Hey, you need help?" They ducked down. I walked toward the end of the aisle, nothing. But just then, something knocked a bottle of bleach off the top shelf behind me. It slammed to the ground so hard it cracked. When I looked back down the aisle, a man was standing there. He was barefoot, wearing gray sweatpants, and his white t-shirt was stained brown like it hadn't been washed in months. He didn't say anything. He just stared. I yelled for help. Loud. No one came. I backed away, gripping a metal mop pole like it was a weapon. That's when he spoke. Not loud. Just whispered. "You're the only one who ever saw me." I screamed and ran. When I found my manager, Eric, he walked the aisle with me, but the man was gone. No cameras ever caught him. And the footage from the other aisles? Corrupted. The weirdest part? Eric pulled out a clipboard from the back office and showed me a note. Aisle 17, do not stock alone after 2 a.m. It was written by a supervisor who hadn't worked there in 5 years. They said she quit. No reason ever given. That was the last night I worked graveyard shift. 2. He wasn't in the break room. I used to work security for a Walmart in Tennessee, small town, barely 5,000 people. Most nights were boring, junkies wandering in, kids trying to shoplift, some dudes screaming at the self-checkout. Nothing too serious. But there's one night I still can't explain. It was a Wednesday. Mid-January. Bitter cold. I remember that because the heat in the store was barely working, and the vents made this constant rattling noise above the security desk. At around 3:30 a.m., I got a radio call from one of the stock workers. A girl named Kayla. She sounded shaken. Said there was a man standing in the frozen foods aisle just staring. She described him as tall, wearing a green hoodie, no cart, no basket. Just standing there, staring into the freezer, like he was watching it play a movie or something. I checked the security monitors. Nothing. That aisle's feed had frozen. Like literally glitched and looped back to the same 5 seconds on repeat. I got up and did a walk. Passed through the clothing section, the home goods. Then I reached frozen foods. There was no one there. Not even Kayla. I kept going and finally ran into her near the loading dock. She looked pale, like genuinely spooked. She pointed back toward frozen foods and said, "He was there." I swear. He smiled at me. I told her to take a break and go sit in the back. But when I walked past the break room a few minutes later, it was empty. Her jacket was there, her phone, her open bottle of Pepsi. But no Kayla. I radioed again. Nothing. Called her phone. Straight to voicemail. Now, I was freaking out. I started checking the store. One by one. Even the locked stockroom and receiving area. Then, over the loudspeaker, which no one was near, a male voice whispered, "I'm in the break room." I ran back, heart racing. Kayla was sitting there. Silent. Staring at the blank wall. Her eyes didn't move when I said her name. I stepped closer and said, "You okay?" She turned her head slowly and whispered, "Don't go looking for him." I never worked another night shift again. Kayla quit the next day. And when I checked the break room camera footage, it showed her entering the room. And 30 seconds later, it showed a man in a green hoodie already sitting inside. But the timestamp said it was recorded 4 hours earlier. 3. The baby aisle. My name's Devin. Back in 2019, I took a temporary night stock job at a Walmart in Kansas. I'd just moved there, didn't know anyone, and needed something to get me through the winter. It was boring, lonely work, but easy money. Until I was assigned to aisle 8. That was the baby aisle. Diapers, formula, pacifiers. All that stuff. One night around 2 a.m., I was restocking baby wipes when I heard soft humming. It wasn't from the ceiling speakers. It was right behind me. I turned around, no one. But the humming continued. A slow lullaby, like an old woman humming to calm a crying baby. I stepped around the shelves and looked down both ends of the aisle. Empty. The sound stopped. I shook it off. Probably one of those half-asleep hallucinations from working nights. But then, the next night, same time, same aisle, I heard it again. And this time, the humming turned into something else. A voice. Whispering. Just one word. Over and over. Devin. I dropped the box of wipes and ran. I didn't tell anyone. Didn't want to sound crazy. But on the third night, something changed. When I entered aisle 8, there was a shopping cart in the middle. A baby carrier was inside. The kind that clips into a stroller. It was old, cracked, and covered in dust. No baby. I looked around. No parents. No customers. Not even other workers. Then the lights above the aisle flickered and dimmed, just in that aisle. And I heard it again. That same humming. But this time, it was followed by crying. A baby, somewhere nearby. I turned and saw a woman at the end of the aisle. Pale. Wearing a hospital gown. No shoes. She was holding the baby carrier now. And her eyes were completely black. She tilted her head and whispered, "He doesn't like when you stop working." I turned and sprinted out of there. The next day, I came in to talk to my manager. I told him everything, expecting to be laughed at or fired. But instead, he asked me, "Which aisle?" I said, 8. And he sighed. Then said, "You should have said no when they gave you that section." I asked him what that meant. But he just looked away and told me he'd move me to electronics. No explanation. 2 weeks later, the baby aisle was closed off for maintenance. I never found out what happened there. But I'll never forget that humming. Or the name on the old baby carrier's side. It was written in black marker. Devin. So the next time you're walking alone through a quiet Walmart aisle, just remember, not everyone there is shopping.